everyone. My name is Priyanka Menon, and today I will be speaking to you on the importance of being vegetarian. I'm sure people before me have touched on important topics, but in my speech, I want to focus on what current scientific thinking says. In my own case, I used to eat meat in the past, but I learned how it was very unhealthy, and I really cared about animal cruelty, and so I stopped. However, preparing this talk has really enlightened me that there's real science to support a plant-based diet, and that is what I would like to focus on today. Dr. Michael Greger, an MD and a renowned nutrition expert, very concisely lists in his book, How Not to Die, the major causes of death. So let's analyze the top reasons for dying a premature death. Every one of them can be prevented by a plant-based diet. But wait a minute, this is the 21st century. Can't we eat anything we want and pop a pill when we're sick? At least that's what TV ads for drugs seem to suggest. Even though there's tons of evidence supporting that a plant-based diet can prevent, we're taking the approach of trying to clean up. I mean, when there's water that is leaked all over the floor, instead of turning off the faucet, we're simply mopping up the water. That's the approach we're taking. Prevention is so much cheaper than cure. But guess what? There's no nutrition education in medical schools. My mom told me that she hardly got any nutrition education in her 10 years of medical school. And the one unifying diet that best prevents and treats many of these chronic diseases is a whole food plant-based diet, which is defined as a regimen that encourages plant-based foods and discourages meat, dairy, eggs, and refined and processed foods. So let's look at some specific diseases. Heart disease, which is the #1 killer. It's not just the cholesterol load in animal fats, but also bacterial toxins called endotoxins that are present in meat even when fully cooked, that get absorbed and end up in the arteries to cause inflammation. This inflammation causes the fat to stick in the arteries and block them. The next disease is lung cancer. Smoking is the leading cause of it, but nitrite in meat has some of the same effects as nitrite in cigarette smoke. Vegetables like broccoli block the spread of lung cancer, and it's been shown in the lab that broccoli extract kills lung cancer cells. People that eat a plant-based diet have much less asthma and allergies. And now let's look at how vegetarianism works at the cell level. Through photosynthesis, the plant turns low-energy electrons into high-energy electrons using the sun's energy. This way, the plant stores the sun's energy. When you eat the plant, the electrons are delivered to your cell's mitochondria for energy. These electrons are then passed to oxygen, and when the oxygen finally gets its hands on the electron, it becomes a superoxide. And now, here's where all the drama starts in the cell. The two main players are the superoxide and the antioxidants. The superoxides are the bad people, by the way. And the superoxide knocks stuff all around the cell and into your DNA, which can damage your genes. Luckily, the antioxidants come to the scene, and they tell the superoxide, put down that electron. And finally, they battle and wrestle, and the high-energy electron is released. And that leaves the superoxide with its ripped genes. This process is called oxidative stress, which can lead to aging and wrinkles. And this can be slowed by intaking foods containing antioxidants, which are plentiful in fruits and vegetables. Eating antioxidant-rich foods can prevent inflammation, which is at the root of many diseases. Plant foods have 64 times more antioxidants than animal foods. So-called health food salmon has only 3 units of antioxidants, while a food like berries have over 1,000 units. The bottom line is that a wide variety of veggies, herbs, spices, and fruits needs to be at every meal. Antioxidants can lower your blood pressure, reduce stiffening of the artery walls, and prevent strokes. Now, what about Alzheimer's? My grandma has the horrible disease of Alzheimer's dementia, which is really sad and literally robs a person of their dignity. It's interesting to learn that antioxidants like saffron and turmeric help diminish the symptoms. Aging toxins, or AGEs, are highly present in meat and that are too fried or barbecued. And now, moving on to diabetes. Diabetes is when the insulin is unable to work well to take the glucose into the cell to be burned. But the fats present in an animal diet prevents the insulin from working well. The glucose in plants cannot be easily absorbed because it's bound up with fiber. And why are people less obese on a plant-based diet? Because you can eat a lot of plants and get very little calories. so you feel full and you're not eating all the time. And now, moving on to the GI tract. When we talk about colon cancer, one thing jumps up. Fiber, fiber, fiber. You can get fiber only from a whole food plant-based diet. There is zero fiber in animal-based foods, and fiber also reduces heart disease, obesity, and stroke. I could go on and on about the health benefits of a plant-based diet, but my next major reason is animal cruelty. Not only are innocent creatures slaughtered and treated horribly in the meat industry, when eating them, we're actually harming ourselves. Studies have shown that our bodies are not designed to eat other organisms for means of surviving, which has actually been the cause for many of the diseases we have today. For example, one of our family friends who was someone who everyone thought was a healthy man. He exercised, was slim, and was very happy. About 2 years ago, he was diagnosed with colon cancer, which was most likely because of his heavy intake of red meat. He passed away about 6 months later. Furthermore, the meat industry is heavily corrupted. It hires people to twist the information and not tell you the entire truth. For example, guidelines have found that saturated fat contributes to heart disease. As a result, meat industries are trying to downplay how much saturated fat is in meat. They also say that meat is leaner and better for you, and that meat provides the best proteins and nutrients. But eating seeds, beans, nuts, and legumes will provide just as much or more proteins. Finally, eating meat has a big influence on the environment. When land is used to raise animals, vegetation is lost and nutrients are lost from the soil. In fact, the Union of Concerned Scientists lists meat eating as the second biggest natural environmental hazard of the earth. Animal agriculture produces 50% or more greenhouse gas emissions. And another startling fact is that a typical pig factory generates as much raw waste as a city with 12,000 people. The meat and the dairy industry does so much processing with harmful chemicals that the products that end up on the table are literally poisonous. The Vedas, Rig Veda and Yajurveda, have long supported vegetarianism. There are even shlokas in other texts like the Mahabharata, the Manu Samhita, and Valmiki's Ramayana that discourage eating meat. For example, in Valmiki's Ramayana it says, Nam amsam raghava bhukte, nacheva madhusuvate. Vanyam suvihitam nityam bhaktam snati panchama. The literal translation is, Rama does not take meat or honey, he partakes every day of wild fruits and rice. Non-vegetarianism violates the principle of ahimsa, or nonviolence, which is directly explained in Patanjali's Yoga Sutra 2.3. Even though distorted translations have tried to justify meat eating, it's because of the lack of Sanskrit knowledge. To conclude, I want to make another important point. While vegetarianism is generally healthy, there are many unhealthy vegetarians. So eating processed and refined vegetarian food and overcooked vegetables is no better. Do you guys need any more evidence? To really know the facts, I encourage you to watch the documentary Forks Over Knives or read the book How Not to Die by Michael Greger. So for health reasons, environmental reasons, scriptural reasons, and our own conscience, I hope we can all become true vegetarians. Thank you.